Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, basically, the biggest, like, I guess, debacle that we're having basically is we want to ensure that there's enough tax revenue at the beginning of this change as there is at the end of the change, and it seems like, the problem that it seems that we're having is basically if we tax by doing a flat tax system, it makes the rich pay less and then the poor pay more, and yet there's still not enough revenue at the end of the system. However, the reason why a flat tax would work is there's many companies, many like Fortune 500 billion-dollar companies. Honeywell is just an example. They make vacuum cleaners and stuff like that. They actually paid 0% in income tax last year due to loopholes and deductions like that. And one of the biggest things that I liked about a flat tax is that it would actually pay more people would pay their taxes. Short News quoted that for the exception of deductibles for family size, all other tax credits, aka loopholes, would be rescinded. Instead of 50% of workers not paying taxes, that number would be reduced to a single-digit number. No special exceptions and no tax breaks. Everyone pays a set percentage of their income. It doesn't get any fairer than that. And the only way to eliminate loopholes is to implement a flat tax and take the exact same percentage of income from someone making $15,000 per year as you take from someone making $15 million per year. It's impossible to eliminate loopholes in any other fashion. Because the problem is, the reason why the rich benefit from taxing is they're able to get around like paying their set rate because of loopholes. Like Bill Gates opens up the Bill Gates Charities Foundation. By opening a charity foundation, you're able to mask how much money you make through your charity, and you get a lot of deductions as a result. Modified flat taxes have been proposed, which would allow deductions for very few items while still eliminating the vast majority of existing deductions. Charitable deductions and home mortgage interests are the most discussed exceptions, as these are popular with voters and often used. Another common theme is a single large fixed deduction. The concept here is that this blanket deduction rolls up a myriad of ubiquitous fixed living costs and has the simplified side effect that many low-income people will not even have to file tax returns. So basically, by having a flat rate, it gets rid of all of the shades of gray with loopholes that get around everything. So no matter what, you know that somebody's paying taxes and it's fair. I think that by doing a flat tax, it would be a lot more cost-effective. A flat tax reduces compliance costs, according to the Tax Foundation. Dealing with the tax code measured by time, energy, money, and other resources to devote simply trying to figure out the right number to put on our tax returns will cost annually $338 billion per year. This tax on paying taxes will fall by more than 90% with a flat tax. And then finally, the flat tax does reduce the size of the IRS. A flat tax shrinks the IRS. The Internal Revenue Service has morphed into an enormous bureaucracy costing $12 billion per year. The IRS employs more people than the FBI and CIA combined, and virtually all this expensive bureaucracy could be wiped out under a flat tax. And I remember that my opponent said that by wiping out the IRS, it could be a bad thing because people would lose jobs. But as I said before, a reduction of the government personnel and a redistribution of their valuable expertise into the private sector would increase the financial strength of our country. Because basically, like, people that work for the IRS are really smart. They're obviously overqualified for their position, but by moving them out of the government sector with all the knowledge that they have about the government sector into the private sector, you could actually strengthen our economy because they have inside information that private sector people do not. The savings are not only monetary, but more importantly environmental. The Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995 is a good example of our government using the power for the greater good. It has reduced expenses to a certain degree, but its implementation has been slow for the country to feel the true benefit that it has potential to deliver. While millions of Americans have been filing returns electronically for years, while some W-2s are available in electronic form as well, there are still billions of printed pages each year between tax forms, supplemental forms, W-2s, 1099s, 1098s, etc. that must be created, mailed, distributed, and eventually discarded into landfills. They consider the supporting documentation that Americans must keep to prove their dedication. Remember, like, you have to keep receipts, like, every single time. Like, every time my mom goes to the gas station, I save a receipt in my glove box, and I got a whole stack of them. That's a lot of paper. Billions of slips of paper that would no longer be needed, which could then be recycled into much more useful things and eventually never created to begin with. Consider the footprint that billions upon billions of printed documents has upon the nation from a real estate perspective. Storage and resources necessary to maintain documents and prevent deterioration are a real expense. Warehousing of documentation and the manpower needed to collect and catalog the records and discard outdated materials could further be reduced, and the space could be better utilized, perhaps even for more startups. All right, and lastly, we could remove all other taxes under the system and still have 3 times as much tax revenue as our current system. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you.